Wow.
Welcome to Good Times and Bad Movies. I'm Paul Ireland, and this is another special edition of Good Times and Bad Movies, actually, because we are sitting down with film director and writers Paul Dale and Austin Frosch. Paul and Dale have written and directed several horror comedies like 2017's Silent But Deadly and the 2022 release Sewer Gators. Paul and Austin are here today to sit down with us to chat about their latest release, Killer Kites. So Paul, Austin, thank you so much for being here today, and thank you guys for sending us a screener to watch as well, too. And now, having seen this for the first time and fully digesting this movie, I guess my first question to you guys is, where did the idea for a Killer Kite movie come from, and why did you choose kites?
Well, actually, what wound up happening is kind of shortly after Sewer Gators came out. Sewer Gators kind of popped off in a way that some stuff that we had done in the past hadn't really. And so we wanted to keep going in this genre. We really liked it. We like doing these types of movies. They're fun. They're goofy, whatever. And my brother sent me a video of my 2-year-old nephew just getting clocked by a kite. Like he was trying to fly a kite at the beach, and he just got knocked the blank out, right? And my brother sends me this video with the text that just says, "I think I found your next movie." And I was like, holy crap, that's good. And so I was talking to Austin about it, and Austin was like, yeah, no, I want to run with that.
Wow, that's amazing. I think that's a great start to the story. Obviously, with a title like Killer Kites, the film is approaching this with a lot of humor, more than horror, I would say. So, is that a conscious decision for you guys when you make this movie and all the other movies that you've made before? And I guess, do you prefer, say, comedy horror to traditional horror?
Yeah, speaking for myself, like I really got into horror movies when I was a teenager. I started, basically back when video stores were still a thing, right? I would drive to the video store every day. And I quickly found out that the latest releases of everything, I would blow through them so quickly because I was just such a voracious movie watcher, right? So then I was like, well, there's a crap ton of horror movies. So I started watching horror movies, and I got into Evil Dead and stuff like that. And I love horror comedy, like movies, especially really bad horror movies. That's the kind of the beauty of horror movies, was like there was never a bad one, right? Like, this from doing this podcast, right? Like even when they're really, really terrible, they're also great, and especially as a pubescent young man, the likelihood of a naked girl in there was also a nice draw to watching a lot of horror movies. But we grew up in a small town in Louisiana, about an hour north of New Orleans, and the summertime would come. There was nothing to do here, right? So like me and my buddies, we would go to the pawn shop. This was another big thing. They would have dollar DVDs at the pawn shop of just these terrible, terrible horror movies that you've never heard of. We'd go to the pawn shop and we'd just sit down and watch them and just rip on them and everything else. And it just kind of became this really fun thing. But yeah, so very long-winded answer to your question. I love a horror comedy.
Yeah, for me, Paul was the one who showed me like this idea that these horror movies can be so bad that they're funny. Paul's the one that showed me like Troll 2 and just all these other like direct-to-DVD horror movies. So I credit him with introducing me to that. Huh?
Troll 2 is a masterpiece. I said, don't you knock Troll 2 and our buddy George.
Yeah. You know what? That's the thing. I think there's a certain point when you especially like, that's kind of how I figured this stuff out. Like when I was a kid, I would go to the video store as well too. And I would just kind of like, based on the videotape cover alone, whatever that box looked like, you'd be like, let me get that one. I'd like sneak it to my dad. I'd be like, can I get this one? And he'd be like, I don't know. And I'd be like, come on. He'd be like, all right. And I'd go home and watch this thing. And usually like, it seemed like it's almost like inversely proportionate. It's like the cooler the cover, almost the worse the movie sometimes. Like you're like, yeah. April Fools, you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Or like Chopping Mall, that looks hardcore. What's that? And like, it's not like, these are not bad movies, but you're not yeah. Demonic Toys. The first time I watched that, I think I hit the third one. I was like, Demonic Toys 3. Let me just go in like mid-series. What's happening here? And wow, like I was like 14 at the time. I was like, this is just like that's I think the first time I was like, this is really bad, but I'm having a great time. There's something about that, I think. So I guess I had a question. My next question to you guys is what horror films, if any, were an influence when you were writing Killer Kites?
Austin, you want to take that one?
Um, so I think a little bit it was that movie. I think Christine. Is that it, Paul?
Yeah, that is the title of the movie.
Yeah. That's the one that because that was like a reference point. There's also this movie called The Car, where like a car comes to life and kills people. That it just those kinds of movies where inanimate objects are coming to life. You know, I tried to like take like points from those, like just like plot points and like how people in the movie react to like this absurd thing happening. And you know, you go into Killer Kites and you're like, okay, well, there's no way that you can go in this straight face. Like, and in the movie, they acknowledge it. They're like, it's Killer Kites. Like, this is ridiculous. So it was like those movies, and then just funny, like all of the comedy movies I've ever seen. You know, I just was just trying to make something funny, but with that element of like the horror of these inanimate things killing people.
Yeah, it's kind of got like a little bit of like Maximum Overdrive or something like that, but with kites, you know?
Yeah.
That's great. Actually, because when I was watching the movie, I thought, you know, there's sometimes in it that the jokes to me, they were kind of almost like Leslie Nielsen-esque, or they were kind of this slapstick humor. So, you know, like Evil Dead kind of thing, like you mentioned before. But I also noticed the guy in the house coat. I'm not sure if, I didn't really catch his name, so I apologize if his name was in there. But was he an homage to the Big Lebowski? Is he like kind of your dude?
A little bit, yeah. Like to an extent, yeah, I would say so.
He just shows up and gives like life advice and just like, here's how you have to deal with these kites. And he just hangs out and he's just really chilled out. And I was like, I like this guy. He's just hammering back McDonald's. Hey, oh my
Yeah, there
God.
he is.
Oh my God. This is amazing. This is amazing. How are you?
What's
Big
going on,
fan.
man?
Big fan.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is amazing. We're having a special guest appearance.
Oh, hey, Austin, what's up, buddy?
Oh, hey, buddy.
We're in the bullpen.
The dude is here. Killer Kites dude.
man
Thank you
ask
for showing up. Thank you so much. That's tremendous.
Yeah, the Oracle is everyone's favorite character. Like almost unanimously, people like we had a little premiere, and everybody was like, "That was like any time that there was like a lull in the movie, whenever he was on screen, it would like lighten up again."
Yeah, he's a fun break in that movie. I really enjoyed that. He just come in every so often and just peek us up again. It's great. So how do you guys go about writing together? Do you guys do this? Because I'm not sure. Do you guys live close to each other? You can sit down in person, or do you just write over like over the internet? Is it just, you know, one guy has an idea and you kind of ping pong each other ideas back and forth? How does that work?
Yeah, you know, was actually kind of all Austin's baby on the writing front. And in the past, though, when we collaborate on things, what we usually do is we'll have somebody will do a draft, right? And it's like, okay, here's the beats of it, here's the jokes, here's what we think is funny, and then it's us two, and then two other guys, Zach, who's lurking around as our Oracle character, and our buddy Carter, and we all kind of get together, and excuse me, it's very much a by committee kind of a thing, right? We go through the script line by line, and everybody's adding in jokes and going like, all right, well, what if we did this? Like that's what the whole yeast festival came out of, just us sitting at a bar going through the script line by line and going, well, wouldn't it be funny if? And many people don't think it's funny based on the reviews I've read. So
I thought it was fun. I really liked all the bread just hanging out. It's just like like we in Canada we got Subway and stuff here too. So I'm like, this is just like Subway subbed. Everyone just walking around with just chewing on. Welcome to the bread fest.
But yeah, man, honestly, like these concepts usually kind of start like, this is going to sound backwards and kind of ridiculous, but much like this one, it's like, all right, we come up with a title. You kind of go, honestly, this goes back to all the way to Silent but Deadly. Like I had the title for Silent but Deadly since I was like 14. I had the title and concept. I was like, that's funny. And I sat on it till I was in college and then wound up figuring out how to make that movie. But it was like, it's title, concept, and then tagline. We're very big on taglines over here.
I like that. You got to reverse engineer the comedy, right? Like, here's my punchline. How do I paint my way out of this corner now? I like that. That's really cool. So you just mentioned something there. Have you always then, since you've had this idea, the idea Silent but Deadly since you were 14, have you always been making movies since you were a kid then as well? Or Austin, have you been making movies since you were a kid too?
Yeah, so Paul's been making. I can speak for Paul. Paul's been making movies at least as long as I've known him. Probably years before that. I met Paul in like 2007, and he was like making these like little like zombie movies, and I was like, "That's cool. I want to be part of that." And meanwhile, like we were like part of a film club in high school, and we would make like skits and stuff like that. And then that just kind of continued into college, where I was like filming funny videos, and Paul was making his thing. And yeah, it's we've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, speaking for me, I could tell you that I grew up in the '90s, and whenever my dad had to like babysit us, right, he never knew what to do with my brother and I, but we had a like home VHS camcorder. This was high tech at the time, and so we would literally remake movies. This was like what we would do. He was like, I don't know how to entertain these 5 and 6 year olds, so like we would remake Rocky. We did Godzilla, like, and we would more or less make a shot-for-shot remake of all of these different famous movies. And and as I got older, my brother and I still did that, right? Like we just got better and better at it, and it was something that I really loved doing, and it was just a great way, especially once I got to high school, which is where I met Frosch there. Just hanging out with your buddies on the weekend and just kind of being jackasses, making these goofy little movies. I mean, really, I guess if you want to go down to the nitty gritty of it, all these horror comedies start way back when I was like 13. We made our first little zombie movie, and just running around in the backyard.
That's awesome. Yeah, I used to do stuff like that when I was a kid too. So I totally get that. Just have this like, it was like a 3-foot camera that weighed like 40 pounds and have just a giant light on. You'd be blinded and you're like, okay, go. And then, because I would do sort of the same thing. But it sounds like you kind of were doing like be kind rewind kind of like remakes of movies where I would make like little, I convinced my dad to like go to like the costume store as well too. And then buy us like costumes. And then we'd like fake kill each other and like, yeah, do stuff like
That's
that too.
awesome.
But it was always terrible. It never really worked out well.
Oh yeah,
I can totally get that too. That's awesome, man.
yeah, but it's
That's,
fun, man. It's just a good time.
yeah, it's a great way to start out. So you guys also mentioned too that you guys had a little premiere as well for this too. So did you guys take this as well on say like an indie film circuit or anything else, or is it just a little small premiere you did? And if you did do like an indie premiere or anything like that, like how was it received in the theaters or just the audience in general?
Yeah, we're looking to hit the indie circuit in 2024, hopefully, with this one. We have really big aspirations for that. Um, but no, we have a movie theater around here called the Movie Tavern, and I wanted to just make it more of an event than we usually do for these things. So I contacted them and was like, "Hey, like, can y'all just show like any movie? Like, do y'all do like private events?" And they were like, "Yeah." And that was it. We just like invited like 40 people and had it that one day, and that was it. But it was nice to like have it show like on an actual like big movie screen for once. So it was a special thing.
Yeah. The other thing that we're doing a lot of now is we started doing these horror cons. We recently did Days of the Dead in Vegas. We got a couple more coming up. I don't know. I need to put them on our social media and stuff. I don't remember all the ones we're going. We're going to a bunch of them, and that's been a lot of fun because especially as like some of our other movies have gotten out there more. It's funny. Like people will come up to us and be like, "Oh, I saw that. I saw Silent but Deadly. I didn't realize you guys made other movies." And we're like, "Yeah, man. Here we are." So that's been really cool. And then yeah, there's some other things that are cooking in terms of getting around on the indie circuit, as Austin alluded to. But we shall see. We'll see what happens.
That's great. That's great. Can't wait to see you guys out there. Yeah, hopefully you get to hit like Fantasia Fest or something cool like that. That's really exciting to do that, man. That's awesome. You guys mentioned that at least in passing that you released this movie early due to some high demand. So where does your audience live mostly then, I guess, and how do you get your films out? I guess because it must be a different, just to go back there, it must have been kind of nice to see obviously that in-person reaction. Because I guess now probably most of your audience lives digitally, I would assume.
Yeah, one of the cool things about people who really dig horror movies is they still love physical media, right? Which I mean, that's I'm a fan of. So we got our VHS tapes and everything.
That's amazing. Wow.
And so Yeah, a lot of our fans. It's the cool thing about the internet is that our fans are now kind of like all over the place, right? Like we get messages and emails and stuff from people from literally all over the world, and it's very bizarre to me, you know. There's a oh yeah, dude. I'll send it to you in a message, or you might have seen it on our Instagram page. But there's literally a Japanese Twitter account that's been making memes of killer kites.
That's awesome.
I have no idea what they say. It's like the text is laid in, so I can't like translate it, and I don't know how to do that from a keyboard. But like, I'm guessing it's good. But they're getting like hundreds of retweets and things, and it's really bizarre, man. But no, everybody is so cool. Like when we meet people who are fans of this stuff, like they're really it's so cool to us, and really awesome to meet them and see them. And like I said, just the amount of people, random places, random things. I got a couple years after Silent but Deadly came out. Sorry, this is a tangent. I got an email randomly from somebody I did not know, and it was just fan art of the mime from the movie. and it wasn't like this is our business email address. It was just like my personal email address. And I was like, how did you get this? And it turns out they had tweeted at one of our friends who's in the movie, and he was like, oh yeah, you should send this to Paul. And they were super cool, and thank God for that, because I was like, dude, don't do that. I don't know.
Don't send out personal info on the internet. What's going on here, man?
Here's his social security number and where he lives.
Yeah, here's where he lives, and here's the things he's afraid of most.
Yeah, right? No, but there's a bunch of these kids up in upstate New York who just really loved the movie. And yeah, man, it's been super cool meeting all kind of people from all over who like this goofy sort of stuff.
That's great. So do they contact you? Do you guys have like a website? Is it an Instagram? How do they contact you? Through like email?
Yeah, so our Instagram is probably the most utilized of the things. It's By the Horns TV. I'm a terrible social media person. I'm not good at, as I said earlier, I don't know if this was on air or not, but I'm like a 95-year-old man, right? So, I'm trying to be better about that, about updating that stuff. But we get a lot of emails. It's bythehornsbrock@gmail.com if you want to email any things there.
Any more fan art?
Yeah,
we love the fan art and the memes.
We do love the fan art and the memes.
Paul, I didn't even know that meme was a real thing. I thought that was like something
real.
Zach made.
No, that's 100% real. I have no idea what it says. The like tweet that was attached to it, I translated, and it said like, "This dog is safe in my hands." I don't know what the meme itself said.
There's some context missing there, I think.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
It's all right though. That's a wholesome meme though. I feel like the dog is safe in his hands. So, do kites have hands though? What's a kite hand? I don't know how that works. The ribbons, maybe something.
Yeah, they have tails, much like dogs. So
that's true. I like that. I think that's what it is. It's in the tail.
For the sequel.
So actually, here's a question too. Because Silent but Deadly, I believe it was. Yeah, I watched it on Tubi. So how did you guys? I mean, I don't know if that's personal or whatever, but how do you guys go about doing something like that? Because that's really cool. Like you guys got that out there. That's really cool. That's out there for just everybody.
Oh, getting it up on Tubi, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we use a distributor called Film Hub, and they are sort of a digital. They do digital only in terms of their distribution. So they more or less put it out there and help us push it out and get us in front of the big platforms and stuff like that. And yeah, so Silent but Deadly's on Tubi, Sewer Gators is on Tubi. I believe Kites will be on Tubi in the next few months. So as of right now, it's just on Amazon, but it will be available on Tubi shortly. I'm sorry if that's not. I know that's not much of an answer. Sorry.
No. That's a great answer. Why isn't that a great answer? That's great. No, that's awesome. I think it's like, because I love Tubi. Honestly, Tim and I gotta tell you, Tubi is basically sponsoring this show. They don't even know it. Like pretty much 60-70% of the movies we get, we're like, just like I was watching Tubi, like, and I write this down. I'm like, that's a good one. That's a good one. So
Tubi's a great platform. Honest to God, it's one of the best platforms, I think.
It's like just for, especially for bad movies. If you love bad movies, this is it. Like, shout out to Tubi. Because like, again, we just watched, I don't know if you guys have seen this one, but again, we did, the last movie we did was this one called Hard Ticket to Hawaii. from
I
1987.
saw y'all's posts about it. I haven't seen it, but
It's from 1987. Yes, you need to just go watch it. You don't even have to watch that movie. I think it's like, I'm gonna guess like 30 minutes into the movie. There's a skateboarder with a blow up doll and a rocket launcher. That's what I'm gonna tee you up with. You can just go check it out yourself.
that
It's
sounds
amazing. It's amazing. And like Snake gets bitten by cancer, and it's a cancer-ridden snake now. And yeah, like it got bitten by cancer-infected rats. Okay, and then it's got other deadly toxins as well too. But I'm like, I'm not a doctor. Been kicked in the head a bunch of times and whatever else, and had concussions in my life, and so I don't know things. But like, I don't think that's how cancer works, you know. So,
I'd be right on that.
definitely worth watching. Sorry, I honestly just not that. I mean, definitely watch Killer Kites before that, but for you guys, just something for you guys to watch in your downtime. Might inspire you on the next one. I don't know. But I did have my next question again, just to steer it back off the dirt road there, is what was it like filming Killer Kites? And did you run into any problems? Like, was there anything you didn't account for with trying to film this movie?
Yeah. Austin, you want to go first on that, or you want me to?
I think Paul's number one complaint is going to be that I wrote a script with quote unquote 50,000 characters.
There were 347 million, Austin. Look, we make very low budget movies, okay? And there is a very finite amount of people that you can convince to be in these sort of goofy little low budget movies.
People aren't signing up for Killer Kite movies all the time.
Yeah, you know how hard it is to get people to show up to film a movie? You're like, hey, we're going to kill you on camera with a kite. And they're like, what? No, I don't want to do that. Because everybody's Norm Macdonald in this version. Killer Kite movie, no way. No, yeah, so that was a bit of a struggle. And actually, there's a lot more people being murdered by kites in the script. We had to cut out about 90% of the kite murdering because we didn't have people to be murdered by kites.
Dang.
Which, actually, here's my shameless plug for you while I bring this around. If anybody listening out there, if you pre-order a physical media copy of Killer Kites before May 26th, is that right, Austin?
Yeah, we'll give them to the 30th. How about that?
Okay. Hey, let's do the 31st. That's the end of the month.
Oh, yeah. Forgot.
There you go.
Yeah, one more day.
If you order a physical media copy of Killer Kites by the 31st of the month, you'll be entered into a raffle to get killed off in our next movie, which will be called Murderitaville, which is a Jimmy Buffett-inspired slasher film.
Are you for real?
Mhm.
Wow. That sounds amazing. I think that's a great idea for a movie. Murderitaville. Wow. I like that. Wow. Okay. That's amazing. Like, because I always thought, I'm like, man, it would be so fun to get killed in a horror movie. Like, who doesn't want to get killed in a horror movie? I thought that'd be great, especially if it was like,
you're our people.
that's right. I'm just like a chainsaw, I think would be really cool. Like the zombie thing, I think would be kind of fun because you'd be sitting like, oh, and they'd be pulling out the sausage casings and stuff. But I really think like the one you could ham it up with like a chainsaw. That's like ah! Like that would be the fun one, right? So like, again, who doesn't want to get Murderitaville?
You know?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a great idea. Can we just again sidebar here? How did you come across this Murderitaville, Jimmy Buffett inspired horror movie? And how many Hawaiian shirts will you be wearing in this one?
I will be wearing all Hawaiian shirts. I mean, Brock Peterson will be wearing all Hawaiian shirts. I'm not Brock Peterson. He's just a guy who looks like me.
Okay, yeah. Guys have never been in the same room at the same time together,
Never
though.
been. No, I refuse to be in the same room with him, really is what it is. That's why we've never been in the same room. He's a bad person. No, so when we made Silent but Deadly, there's a joke in there where the doctor says something to the effect of, mimes have the second largest teeth in proportion of body size, or something like that. They're the most ferocious child's party entertainer, I think is the joke. Second only to Jimmy Buffett impersonators. And then it like cuts to a Jimmy Buffett impersonator, who's a friend of ours' dad, who's actually, he's at the beginning of Killer Kites as well. And it's just him smashing a guitar. And I put over that Murderitaville because I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. And then me and another friend of ours, Dylan, who I wrote Silent but Deadly with, had come up with a concept for like Brock Peterson doing all these random news stories, and one of them was going to be about an underground ring of Jimmy Buffett impersonators, like fighting. It's going to be like dog fighting, but with Jimmy Buffett impersonators. And that just devolved into like, oh, what if we had, a slasher movie that was based around Jimmy Buffett?
I love this. Sign me up, please. I want to watch this next movie. This is awesome. Please.
You got it.
Murderitaville. Please. Can we get a Kickstarter going for this? Or a GoFundMe or something for you guys? Do you have a GoFundMe or like do you do like you don't do fundraising campaigns like that or you do?
No, we have not yet in the past.
Let's go. Right here on this show. Let's start one for Murderitaville, please.
All right. Look, Paul, your lips to God's ears. You can find some people who will put up some money for Murderitaville. Dude, I will happily keep my wallet closed and
Oh, we'll start like a Kickstarter for you guys, you know? And that's it. You hit like a certain money, you donate like $300, you get to get murdered in there, or you get like a Murderitaville coaster or something. Like,
dude, definitely. Yeah. We're gonna have we found a website that will do custom Hawaiian shirts. So we're going to have Murderitaville customized Hawaiian shirts of like the killer's face, and it's going to be great.
this is fantastic. I love this. This is the merchandising for this show is unlimited. I think this is fantastic, personally, boys. Tremendous. This is great. So I did have a question again, because you mentioned the budget being kind of low and everything, and obviously these movies kind of have, I would say, like sort of like a raw kind of indie look to them. So is that something that you guys are consciously going for when you make these movies, or
what would you say to that, Austin?
Well, in a way, it's intentional. We definitely, every movie so far, it seems like we've upped the production quality, but there's definitely a cuteness to making it look a little bit low budget that we definitely strive for.
I hate the words that come. I wish you would just stop talking. Just go put your face in a toilet bowl for me. I hate you. Don't ever describe any movie that we've done as cuteness. There is nothing cute about Killer Kites.
Yeah, well.
I mean, some of the kites are kind of cute. I thought there was like a little kite that you murdered at
That's
the.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Be Cool kite. That's.
I thought Zach was pretty cute.
Iceberg was cute.
I like Jerry, actually. Jerry was a fun character too. Actually, here's a question again too. I noticed Jerry's shirt.
I'm sitting there going, which one is Jerry?
His shirt and his gun. And I understand like his shirt's got a gun or something on it, and they're blurred. Is that for a reason? Is that for like would Tubi not let you guys like put it on there or something? Like I didn't.
So Sean showed up to set with a very offensive shirt on.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, fair enough.
He has a very strange sense of humor, and there was so much going on that day. It was our first day of shooting. We just kind of shot the thing, and then after the fact, we were all like, wait a minute, maybe that's not a thing we want to have
Yeah, fair enough.
in the movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Honestly, knowing that now, there's just a bit of charm to that. Like, not to the fact that the guy wore the offensive shirt, but just so you guys were like, we gotta blur this out now.
But like genuinely, that guy Sean is one of the funniest people I've ever met in my entire life. He's also completely insane. Like, he is a psycho, but I love him so. He makes me laugh harder than anybody else I've ever met in my entire life. If you wind up watching all of Silent but Deadly, like, you'll get a taste of how just crazy he is as a person.
Yeah, I that's it. I mean, honestly, the funniest people are usually the ones that are pushing the boundaries the hardest. Like, they're just doing this stuff. You're like, you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't cross that line. They're like, that's great, man. And that's it. I kind of noticed that too. Obviously, like you mentioned, Brock Peterson being in these movies, and like this seems like these are kind of like it's a family affair when you guys are making these movies. So is it like the first movie you made, second movie, third movie now? You guys, this is just all a collection of your friends and family kind of just doing this together, just like for fun. Is that sort of how the cast is made up? You guys are like, like the indie Broken Lizard kind of guys?
Yeah, I think I hate them all personally. But we've honestly, all joking aside, we've known each other. I've known Frosch for, how long have we known each other, Frosch? 15 years?
Yeah, 15, 16 years.
Yeah, so like, and I've known some of the guys in this, like the Carter who played, what is his character's name, Austin? The main male character. I've known him since probably 20 years. So yeah, we've all known each other forever. Zach and Carter go back. Also, probably you and Zach as well. All went to elementary school together and stuff. So it's definitely a family affair, and we are all a close knit group of idiots who appreciate each other's sense of humor. And yeah,
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, that's the best way to make movies, I think, is with your friends, right? Because again, like, first of all, don't really got to pay them much. Don't really got to feed them much, right? Like, we're done. And then they also contribute to everything too. And everyone's just like, like, I'll help you move this thing. And it's just like, that's cool. I like that. That's really awesome. That's really cool. So, I mean, given that you guys have done Sewer Gators, Silent but Deadly, Killer Kites, horror movies, have they always been your first choice to make? Like, do you guys have any ideas? I mean, obviously, given your Murderitaville coming up here, do you guys have any thoughts about making anything other than maybe a horror at some point? Or
yeah, honestly, it's I don't know. You want my genuine answer, or you want my bullshit answer, Paul?
no, give you dealer's choice. You could tell me, you can lie to me, baby, or you can tell me the truth. It's up to you.
I'll tell you, I've got there's a bunch of stuff in the pipeline that is not horror based. Having said that, these movies are such fun to make. Like, I know that sounds like such a hey, it's really great to be here type of line, but it really is. It's just fun. Like, doing this stuff is so much fun. It's hard to not think about doing things for that reason. Having said that, no, there's a Christmas movie in the pipeline, and there's some other things. But there's also practical realities of shooting at this budget level, right? And there's a version of these movies that are just straight up comedies that we drop the horror element of it. But the problem with that is, like, unless you have Will Ferrell in a comedy movie or somebody of that caliber, it's very difficult to get anybody to watch a comedy movie. It's very difficult to get anybody to watch a drama. So the beautiful thing about people who like horror movies is they will give B movies like this one a chance, right? And there's my sort of roundabout genuine answer.
No, that's fair. I mean, you got to get your foot in the door somehow, right? Sometimes that's how you got to get people's attention. And that's usually the route people go is with horror movies, right? Because, I mean, again, this is the diehard audience. They're there. It's like metal fans, right? It's like they will listen to anything, give them anything, right? Like, it doesn't matter. It could be crusty grindcore. That's just a bunch of, you don't know what that is. Could be like Metallica, could be Slayer, could be whatever, right? But yeah, so that's why I appreciate that. And that's fair, man, because, I mean, especially in the industry, if you got to make a name for yourself or you want to try to get into the industry to do anything, right? Like, people got to know you, right? So I can understand that too. That's fair, man, because I think you guys should take a swing at a comedy. I thought I definitely had a lot of laughs at the dialogue in this. I think it's really fun. I really enjoyed it a lot. It's great. It's good. And also, one of the other things I really liked, it was the poster that you guys had for Silent but Deadly. There was one that was really cool. It was like a mime and this weird like face thing. And Killer Kites, the Killer Kites one, I think that one is just like, woo, chef's kiss. Really good. So who did the artwork for your posters?
Dude, man, there is I'm going to tell you, the internet is an amazing, amazing thing, because there is a kid in Bangladesh who is this is not a joke. He's an incredible artist who it's like, hey, man, I want a poster that looks like this. And he's like, okay, dude, just shoot you back a message and does some freaking awesome art. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. He's a good dude, though. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Shout out to our buddy in Bangladesh, killing it.
I will post something on Instagram where you can find his stuff if you're curious.
So, and also I noticed too, like, again, the movies have just a huge comedic element to them. So what inspires that, or what inspired that? Well, like, just to have all that kind of that comedy.
Austin?
Well, for Killer Kites, it was just I was trying to write what I pictured as a Paul Dale movie. Like, he gave me the title, and I was like, okay, I'll run with that. So I was trying to write it in the same vein as like Sewer Gators or Silent but Deadly, where it's funny, but it's still like people getting killed by something. So it's definitely very conscious. And I mean, especially Killer Kites, there's no way to really go around that not being stupid. So it just kind of lent itself to being funny.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I grew up on a very steady diet of Monty Python and Mel Brooks. right? Like that was my childhood growing up. And going back to like the horror comedy element of stuff specifically, first scary movie I ever saw, I was probably, I mean, I call it a scary movie, but it's probably 5 years old. My dad wakes me up like midnight, says, "Paul, you got to come watch this movie." I go in the living room with him, and it was Army of Darkness. All right. I'm 5 years old, right?
Okay.
And, but at the time, I was really into like King Arthur and knights and stuff like that. And my dad was like, "Oh, there's a castle in this movie. The kid will like this." So he wakes me up, and I sit through Army of Darkness with him at like midnight, right? And simultaneously, it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen, right? Because of all the slapstick, just silliness going on. And then at the same time, it scared the absolute crap out of me because I was 5. And, but my dad had a history of showing us movies well before we should have. Like, it was around that same time I saw Holy Grail for the first time and, Blazing Saddles and all that type of stuff. So,
Yeah. Stuff you're totally not supposed to see, but your parents are like, come on.
Yeah, it was fine.
Sneak into the good stuff. Yeah. Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah, I love Monty Python. I can totally see that. You guys have a strong, like a slapstick sort of comedic vibe there, and I really like it. And it shows. And again, you guys because you guys are all friends. I can see that there's a good like a vibe. You guys are all friendly, and there is that relationship with each other. That's really cool. Do you guys have anything else that you want to shout out here? I mean, because I was going to ask you about any upcoming projects, but it sounds like Murderitaville is next on the list here. Do you guys have anything else that's coming up here? Or?
Yeah. The goal is to really start pushing these things out faster, doing them more frequently. Again, just because they're fun to do, we like doing them. We're starting to build up the audience some more and want to be able to actually get stuff out to folks who want to see it, more. So Murderitaville will be the next one that we're doing. Austin is working on a script for another one. Allegedly, he's working on a script for another one. What's that one called, Austin?
That one is called Bigfoot versus Big Shark. And that one is in progress. We have an outline going for that, and the script should be done very soon.
Is there going to be land battles and water battles?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. This is interesting.
And the other day, actually, I came up with one, that I think is pretty good. It's a serial killer, but spelled with a C.
Yes.
And the tagline is "the most important meal of the sleigh."
I like that.
Pretty solid.
That's great. That's good.
And,
I like that. That's good.
I also have a musical.
That's really good. Serial Killer, the musical.
That one's not a musical. No, there's a different one that's a musical.
Oh, okay. No. I thought you were doing like Cannibal the musical there. I'm like, that's cool. I like that. Right? Like serial killer will kill you. I don't know, something like that. We'll work on that one.
Yeah, we definitely need to.
But how about Serial Killer versus Killer Kite? Like a crossover. Like you bring this back in again one time, right?
We could. I mean, I think you've alluded to Brock Peterson, that terrible human being being in these movies. I feel like that just is proof that there's some extended universe where all of these films exist in the same reality. So maybe there'll be an Avenger style team up where the mime is flying a kite while riding an alligator from the sewers. And
is it the Peterverse? Is it the Brockverse? I don't know what we'll call that. We'll work on that.
Yeah, there's something there. Unfortunately,
I like that.
I wish that character didn't exist, but he does.
How did that character come across anyway? Like, how did you come up with that guy?
Did you or me meet him? Who met him first? Was it you or me?
This is a real person? I mean, of course he's a real person, but...
Yes, he's a real person. He's a horrible person. That actually, it goes back to those zombie movies we made in high school. We were making our second zombie movie, and we wrote a character in there who was based off of Geraldo Rivera.
Nice. Okay.
I'd seen a video of Geraldo, like, I don't know, claiming that he was being shot at in Iraq or something. It was some nonsense. It was just complete. I was like, God, this guy's an idiot. So we wrote a character based on that. It wasn't played by Brock Peterson himself. It was played by a different person. And then when we went around to making Silent but Deadly, I was basically trying to figure out a way to write in all this backstory and lore about the mimes, because we kept coming up with these ridiculous ideas like, oh, well, what if this happens and this happens? And it's like, well, how are you going to explain that in this movie? So it was like, oh, well, let's put a newscaster in there doing a story about it, and that's kind of how he came about, this horrible person, and people responded so positively to Brock Peterson that he continues to show up in things.
That's great. I love it. Please.
Well, the problem, honestly, Paul, with Brock Peterson is that, like, we will write things for Brock Peterson to do, and then I remember that Brock Peterson looks an awful lot like me, and I have young children, and I know someday that's going to come back around. So, like, in this one, we actually wound up not doing it, but there was a whole, you know, the scene where Brock comes down the stairs. You okay with how I tell this, Austin? I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The scene is Brock comes down the stairs, opens up the door, and there's a kite there, and then he runs off. So the bit that I wanted to do was Brock comes down the stairs, opens up the door, there's a kite there, and he's like, oh, you don't look anything like the picture, but come on in. And then it would go to something else, and then it comes back to Brock and the kite, like drinking wine. And then it goes to something else, and it comes back, and then Brock's just in the bed with the kite smoking a cigarette. And then the kite was going to give birth to tiny Brock Peterson kites, and that was what was going to cause him to run away.
That was great. I like that. That's
Yeah.
a great idea. I'm sorry we didn't get to see that.
Yeah, something about Brock Peterson making love to a kite just seemed a little...
It's a little, yeah, I can see it. It's like, how does that even work? This is just like a paper. What is going on here? You could have put like a puncture hole in it. I don't know. I'm sorry. It's too graphic.
You need to come on set for the next one, Paul. These are the kind of ideas we need.
These are the big brain ideas we're spitting out here at Good Times and Bad Movies. That's right. Sorry. All right. So this was fun, guys. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for coming on. Look forward to the next one. Honestly, we'll have to have you on from Murderitaville just to talk about that too, because I can't wait to see that and what kind of shenanigans you guys get into on the next one. Before we go, do you guys have any socials or anything you want to shout out? Where can people find you? How can they get at you and show you their weird mime fan art and all that other stuff? Kite memes that are in Japanese and maybe in Hungarian or some other language we don't know.
Yeah, we are at By the Horns TV on pretty much all the socials that I'm aware of. I'm sure there's others that I'm not aware of that we're not on, but I don't know what those are. So we're on the big ones, right, Austin?
Yeah, I believe it's By the Horns TV on everything, like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. It's like By the Horns TV or films or something. Nobody uses Facebook anyway.
Yeah, don't go on Facebook. We don't. The only one we really use is Instagram, and we're not very good at that either. So, but yeah, best place is probably Instagram, or you can shoot us an email at what is it? bythehornsbrock@gmail.
Yeah, bythehornsbrock@gmail.
Brock Peterson will personally check all those messages, and yeah, and
I don't know. I think you guys can make a tidy fortune if you guys did like a what is it called? You know, the little shout out cameo thing? Like you do like a Brock Peterson cameo. You could do like an Oracle cameo too. Shout people out, give you motivational speeches and stuff. Just saying.
That's actually a good idea.
I'm just saying, boys. Come
the
on.
Oracle is laughing over there at that idea. I think you might have.
It's grind and shine, baby. Let's make that money. Get that bread.
We'll get you a percentage of it.
Yeah, we got horror movies to make. No, like let's just keep this horror movies going, baby. Please. I want to see this next one. I'm really excited to this. Guys, again, thank you so much, Austin, Paul. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your movie with me. And honestly, everybody, when if you listen to this now, please go check out Killer Kite. Go check out Sewer Gators. Go check out Silent But Deadly. They're on Tubi. These are awesome movies. They're fantastic. When is Killer Kite coming out? Do you guys know that yet? Or
It is out on Amazon now. Should be, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. And then, yeah, it should be on Tubi in the very near future. And it will, yeah, sorry, I clicked off of the thing here because I'm just trying to make sure it was online. Yeah, so it'll be on Tubi probably realistically in the next couple months. Usually it takes them about 3 months after anything comes out to pick it up. So, but it's on Amazon for the time being, and also you can get if you're a physical media person, you can get a VHS or a Blu-ray on our website, bythehorns.store. And again, if you get it before the end of the month, you might get killed in a movie.
that's a great prize right there. So please pick up Killer Kites, get a signed copy, get murdered in a movie. Let's go. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. See you on the next one.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
No problem.
This was
Thank
fun.
you.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll
Thank
hit
you
the
for
stop
having
button
us.
here,
Thank you.
boys.